Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. So we've already done the summer analogues update, the sixth one of those. We are finishing up with the March analogues and also having a look, or beginning to have a look at ENSO. So we're concentrating on landing to ENSO neutral summers for our sixth summer 2018 analogues update. That's all building up towards the summer forecast being released in just over a month's time. Will be released on the 27th of May. So it's getting ever closer now to having to come up with a forecast for the summer. So have a look at the 6th analogues update and see what you think. There'll be the 7th update next week, and also next weekend we'll have our second seasonal model roundup for the summer of 2018 as well. So we get something like 12 long-range models together and see what they're all showing for the summer. Included in that will be the long-range GWV and Meteo France seasonal models. That will be included in the seasonal model roundup. But today we are going to take those two models out, and we're going to have a look at those in detail, and that'll be coming up for you around 5 o'clock this afternoon, something like that. There'll be a video that goes in depth into those two long-range seasonal models. It used to be very, very exclusive output. You was only able to get hold of those models if you was willing to pay a lot of money or was a pro now they are publicly available. So I'll be talking you through those long-range seasonal model outputs for the whole of the summer period. We start for the May, June, July tri-monthly period, and we go through to the July, August, September tri-monthly period with that update, and also included, of course, is June, July, August. So you get a clear idea of what the two long-range seasonal models from ECMWF and Meteo France are forecasting for the summer period, and that'll be this afternoon. Missing the guys will be Sunday Round Up, so we're going to have your usual Sunday eclectic mix of this and that. I'm going to start off focusing on the weather right now, because weather is on the change at the moment. We have some very warm, hot weather over the past few days, but it's on its way out. Hope you made the most of it, because once today's out of the way, basically, we're going back to average. Low pressure will be coming back in from the Atlantic. It's going to be rather cool and unsettled, I think, as we go into the closing stages of the month. So this is the latest radar picture from the weatheroutlook.com. And we can see we've got quite heavy rain here in the north and the northwest of the British Isles. So this is a frontal system that's moving in from off the Atlantic. Bring quite a bit of wet weather to the west. This will be a weakening feature as it moves eastwards across the country through the course of today. So I don't think it'll bring too much rain into the southeast, but it will mark the dividing line between the very warm temperatures that we've had over the past few days and much cooler temperatures. If I overlay the temperatures, you can see the difference on either side of the front. So at the moment, temperatures in the east and the southeast are in the upper teens to just about low 20s Celsius around the east and southeastern parts of the country. Of course, we had those thunderstorms last night. They have cooled the air down a little bit, but it is still really quite warm and humid over in the east. But on the western side of this front, look at the temperatures there, down into single digits across many northern or northwestern parts of the country. So just 8 and 9 degrees here across much of western Scotland, and coming down the Irish Sea as well. So once this front pushes through, it will have quite a dramatic effect on lowering the temperature, even if there isn't too much rain on this front by the time it gets through to the southeast. Central England temperature for April is looking very warm at the moment. We provisional to the 20th of April. We stand at 9.7, an anomaly of over 2 degrees above average. It's been a very warm April indeed. I think this will edge down a little bit through the closing days of the month, but nevertheless it will be a warmer than average April to say the least. This is how the reanalysis for April is looking so far. So this is up to the 19th of April. You see why it's been such a warm month is that we've had a lot of above average heights, a lot of high pressure over eastern and northeastern parts of Europe. So there's been a big ridge feature across Central Eastern Europe. And then we've had this trough out in the Atlantic. And so the flow and the jet is going something like that, which pulls up the air from a southerly to southeasterly type direction, in from that sort of direction. So that's the reason there's been quite a warm April so far, with high pressure to the east and low pressure out to the west. It has forced up the air from a southerly to southeasterly direction. This is the analogue we was working for when we did the spring forecast. This was based on the winter analogues. So we always expected April would be a month where we revert into a spring type pattern. Spring will get underway in April, if you like. We always expected that cold and blocked March with all of the high pressure around Greenland and the cold northerly winds. We did get that, of course. And then we said that April would be the month where we would flip into spring as the pattern sort of normalised. So we was anticipating we'd get a ridge sort of to the south and then below average heights to the north in that sort of position. We did get that, have got that deep trough in the central part of the Atlantic. So we thought the jet stream would rise north in April, and whilst a relatively changeable month, yes, would be a month where spring will get underway. Actually, what's happened is that it's been a much warmer month than we was anticipating. But we did, as I say, expect April to be the month where things would start to warm up. But of course, this chart that we've got here is only visual to the 19th. So we'll see how our analogue compares to April 2018's reanalysis when we've got the full months worth of data coming in. But anyway, that's the reason we've had such a warm month. We have been bringing up a lot of southerly to southeasterly influences. Sea surface temperature anomalies then, and this is how things were looking last week when we did the GWV Sunday Round Up. So the three areas of interest: we've got the Atlantic Ocean over there, we've got the Northern Pacific Ocean here, and then we've got the ENSO region, which we're concentrating on with our summer analogues today. We've got the ENSO region just there. And we did the ENSO update last night, by the way. If you haven't seen that yet, do check that video out. It's on the ENSO updates page. This is the very latest for the sea surface temperature anomaly. So there's been very little change over the last week, actually. Let's just have a look at last week's again and then go forward to this week's. So no real changes in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We still have this weakening, sort of decaying landing type signal. It's still there, but it is fading compared to what it was a month or so ago. We are anticipating that we're going back to ENSO neutral in the next few weeks, so that's what our summer analogues are focusing on today. Further north in the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, no real changes there. It remains quite cold over in the northeastern portion of the Pacific Ocean. Otherwise, no real changes. In the Atlantic, again, no real changes there either over the past week. Everything looking rather stable. It is quite cold in some parts of the eastern portion of the North Atlantic. A lot of that left over from the cold weather that we had back in the winter and into the spring, of course. Solar activity next. So this is Solar Disk on Outside of a Disk today from solarham.net. We've got one sunspot region just there, quite a large sunspot region. However, solar activity is at very low levels currently and is expected to remain at very low levels over the next 3 days. This is the GWV Sunday Round Up solar activity tracker updated to today, the 22nd of April, just been sent through by James, who is the keeper of the solar activity tracker. So big thank you, James, for sending this through as ever. So again, we remain at a minimum level of solar activity. Our trend lines, which are the thick green and the thick red lines, are down there. So dates on the bottom of the chart, of course. We have got a little tick up in sunspots going on just at the moment. The orange line here is depicting each individual day's worth of sunspots. And so that little region that I showed you on the solar disk at the moment. That has just ticked up the sunspots a little bit, so the orange line has lifted up a bit, but still at a very, very minimum level of solar activity indeed. However, it's enough to start to raise the two trend lines, the thick green and the thick red lines, enough to start to raise those ever so slightly upwards. But essentially we are very close to solar minimum. We're at this low level of solar activity. You can see that we have had a drop in solar activity compared to where we was last year, so this takes us back into sort of May, June, July last year, that period here, and our trend lines were in that sort of area through the late spring and early summer of last year. Now they are down here, so obviously we are at a very much lower level of solar activity compared to where we was around this point last year, and expecting to remain so as well. So we can expect to, if anything, probably see the trend lines weakening even further over the next 6 to 12 months. There has been a little bit of speculation recently that we might have reached solar minimum, and we might have gone into the next solar cycle number 25. I think that's very unlikely, but we've done that. But we will have more about that when we do Solar Sunday, which we're hoping to bring to you in May. But if we can't get to you in May, it'll be at the start of June. So it'll either be sort of in the next few weeks at some point. It'll be either in May or right at the very start of June. That will bring you our next Solar Sunday. Big thank you to James Ackroyd for keeping Solar Activity Tracker updated. This is the Arctic Oscillation Observed and Forecast chart, just to bring you up to date with this. So the black line tells us where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. The red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So we're at this sort of level right now with the Arctic Oscillation. We are in positive territory, close to neutral conditions, but in positive territory with the AO. Remember, this isn't driving anything, it just tells you what the atmosphere is doing over the North Pole. Now, over the next few days, GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go into really very positive territory indeed. So it looks like we are going very positive with the AO in the next week before dropping down a little bit as we go towards May. That's the start of May. Just there, although generally staying positive. So it does look as though we've entered a positive phase of the Arctic Oscillation for the time being. We went very negative with the AO at the start of spring. Of course, that was associated with the beast from the east north cold weather that we had through March. A little bit of a more positive period just there in the second half of March. But essentially, since sort of late February, we have been in quite a negative period with the AO. It looks like we've turned the corner on that, certainly since the middle of April, and moved up into positive territory. And we are expecting to stay in positive territory, either very positive or just moderately positive. Very positive there, moderately positive there. We're expecting to stay in positive territory with the AO over the next few weeks, over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So we shouldn't be seeing too much in the way of northern blocking. It implies that we are likely to, if anything, probably be strengthening the westerlies in the coming week or two. North Atlantic Oscillation looking like this. Again, the black line tells where we've been with the NAO. Red lines at the end where GFS Summels forecasting the NAO to go. So that's where we are right now. Again, positive with the North Atlantic Oscillation. And the GFS Summels forecast us to stay positive with the NAO as well. So we've got the two indexes, the AO and the NAO, both going into positive territory or staying in positive territory over the next 2 weeks. It implies that we're probably going to be strengthening the westerly flow. At this time of year, a positive, of course in the winter, a positive NAO and a positive AO would be a signal for mild weather. This time of the year, as we get through to late spring, it can go either way, really, this. If we ridge in the Azores High and bring that over the country, sending a jet stream way to the north. And actually, it can be really quite warm with a positive AO and NAO. But if we have that Azores high away from us and we bring the jet stream just through the country with this sort of enhanced westerly flow, and actually at this time of the year, and it is true into the summer as well, the NAO and the AO being positive can be indications for rather unsettled and changeable and often quite cool weather. So you have to bear that in mind. In the summer, westerlies are going to be quite cool and probably disappointing in terms of temperatures, but in winter, westerlies are always going to be very mild. So you get contrasts like that between winter and summer when it comes to westerly winds. It does look as though we are enhancing westerly flow in the next week or two. GFS ensembles looking like this, looking at Bristol today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Bristol. We're starting off still quite substantially warmer than average over the next few days. We're going to see those temperatures dropping down, though, in the coming week. So actually going a bit cooler than average. So despite the fact we've got the AO and the NAO both positive, which in winter will be a signal for substantially mild weather typically. That's not the case with this as we're going into the latter part of the spring. So now, when we enhance westerly flow, we actually start to have to think a little bit about going cooler than average. And that's what we see here on this ensemble graph over the next week as we go through to the final days of April into start of May. GFS ensembles are generally trending a little bit cooler than average in Bristol, and also turning more unsettled as well. So the next couple of days have got more dry weather coming up, but as we go through the course of the coming week and into next weekend, then into the first days of May, we have got the rainfall spikes coming back. So not only is it turning cooler, it's also turning more unsettled. As I said at the start of the video, I hope you made the most of this warm and dry weather that we've had over the past few days, if you like it, because the weather is on the turn. These are how the service temperatures are looking at Bristol. So it's starting off still really warm today, just under 20 degrees. But after today, it's pretty much downhill all the way. Really, you see the temperatures are trending downwards. So by the time we get through into the latter stages of next week and then next weekend, we're basically struggling to get much above 10 degrees Celsius at Bristol. And there are some quite cold nights appearing as well with some of these ensemble members. A few ensemble members actually going down towards freezing with the minimums, although they are not all that well supported, so it probably won't be quite that cold. But it does look as though it's turning quite a bit cooler as we go through into the final days of April, and then that continues into the start of May. No real warming trend to be seen there, not going back to where we was a couple of days ago this side of May. I think we can say that quite definitively. So there's our temperature anomaly, and after all of the warm temperature anomaly charts that we've been looking at over the past few days, we see that for the coming week, the 22nd through to 30th of April, we're generally a little bit below average, going cooler than average, not just for the UK, but also for Ireland and parts of Norway as well. And we can probably expect to see these turning cooler for other parts of Europe in the next few days. So I suspect places like northern Germany, Denmark, probably the Low Countries, in northern parts of France, I suspect there we will see these charts trending cooler than average as well. Precipitation anomalies are turning more unsettled again. So this is the precipitation anomaly from the 22nd through to the 30th of April, and it's coming out a bit wetter than average. So we're going cooler, we're going wetter. Obviously, there is quite a substantial deterioration in the weather going on. This is how the GFS is looking for Thursday then. We're bringing in this northwesterly flow, so it'll be quite cool and showery as we go into the end of the week. And those cool and showery northwesterly winds take us through into the weekend. A new area of low pressure starting to move down from the northwest of the country as we go through Saturday, and then that slides through the country as we go through into Sunday, taking cloud and outbreaks of rain with it. And then as we go through into the more extended range, this takes us to Monday, 30th of April. The last day of April has low pressure over top of the country, bringing in an easterly wind, so it can be chilly. And with that low pressure, you would expect showers or longer spells of rain as well. And then we just keep this very unsettled weather going up to day 10. So that's how things look on day 10, which is Wednesday, the 2nd of May, where we've got a dartboard area of low pressure sitting over the top of the country. So we've got showers or longer spells of rain rotating around that area of low pressure. Into the early part of May, it just stays unsettled, running up towards the May Day bank holiday weekend, keeping quite a lot of low pressure influences close to the country. So further showers or longer spells of rain would be expected, and quite cool temperatures as well. Incidentally, we started the countdown to the May Day bank holiday weekend last night, so the second update for that will be coming up tomorrow evening. ECWF finally, and again we're in those northwesterly winds as we go into the last stages of this week. So cool and showery up to the weekend. Low pressure remains close to the country, so again quite cool, quite showery conditions into next weekend. Beyond that, running up towards day 10, it's still unsettled, but there's just a little bit more of an influence from the Azores high by day 10 compared to what the GFS is showing. This is Wednesday 2nd of May, which is day 10. Little bit of a ridge being sent up across the country from the main area of high pressure out in the middle part of the Atlantic. So it's a little bit drier and a little bit less cool compared to what the GFS is showing. But again, both the models really are pointing towards the same kind of situation, which is rather cool and rather showery, unsettled conditions to close out April and to take us into the early part of May. Of course, the detail on that is to be firmed up on, but the broad pattern is one of a deterioration, most definitely, compared to what we've had over the past few days, where we have had real sort of high summer-like weather. We was never going to be able to keep that going all that long. It is only April. So deterioration compared to the weather that we've had recently, and plenty of cool conditions with showers or longer spells of rain to close out April and probably to take us into the start of May. That is how the outlook is looking at the moment, and that's what we'll be concentrating on in the updates in the next few days in the week ahead. Right, a little bit of a shorter Sunday roundup for you today. There's a lot going on at the website though, so don't forget to check out the summer analogues if you haven't yet done so. And of course, later on this afternoon, we're going to have a look at the ECWF and Meteo France long-range season models to see what they are showing for the whole summer period, starting in May, going through to September. So come back for all the updates. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.